friends, welcome to another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast. My name is Hannah, and this is a podcast all about crochet, a little bit of knitting, sometimes sewing, and generally living the yarniest life possible in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live. How are you? I am so excited to be here. Thank you for coming over. Grab a cup of tea. I wish I could make it for you, but alas, you are through a screen. But thanks for coming over anyways, virtually. Grab your favorite drink. I am drinking a ginger ale that my mom left here. Thanks, Mom. I've had quite a morning, which I will tell you about later. But for now, I need some sugar and I need to talk about yarn, and that is what we are here for. If you are looking for me anywhere on the interweb, just as a reminder, you can find me as the Cozy Cottage Crochet on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. Oh no, the ginger ale is attacking me. So I should obviously drink more. If you have anything to say about the podcast specifically, anything you need, questions, comments, concerns, please email me. That is the best way to get a hold of me. My email is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. And I literally always forget to say this, but I have patterns for sale on Ravelry. I am a crochet designer and I have designed like a bunch of patterns, a lot. So yeah, that's linked below as well. Let's jump right in because I need some yarn in my life. The title of this episode is I Have Been Keeping a Secret, and I will not make you wait until the end of the episode to find out what the secret is. I'm going to tell you right now because it's a finished object. It has been finished for quite some time, but I have not been able to share it with you. And it is this adorable little guy. Look how cute he is. I sewed his head on like ever so slightly crooked, but I think it gives him character. His name is Barry, the bear cub, and he is just the cutest. And you may be like, what does that have to do with anything? Why were you keeping this a secret? Well, I was keeping this a secret because I made a tutorial for him. I had the opportunity to work with Hooks and Needles, the company. They do a subscription box for crochet, for knitting, and now for amigurumi. And they asked if I would consider making a tutorial, a video tutorial on how to make this bear cub. And after some back and forth and much deliberation, I said yes. And I'm so glad I did because I had such a blast. And it really gave me the opportunity to like stretch some video muscles that I have not used in a long time, basically since before kids. So this is the kit. If you order the amigurumi subscription box, you will get a kit like this. They have many different amigurumis that you can have, but for this one specifically, Barry the Bear Cub, for any person who orders this kit, from now on, you will get a tutorial by me. You will not see my face, but you will see my hands. You'll see my bear, every part of him, and you will hear my voice for the entire time. I think my tutorial is about 50 minutes long, and we cover literally everything you need to know for how to make this bear, like head, ears, nose, sewing, piecing together, adding details. I just love him. And he's been a secret because I haven't been able to share him with you. But now that it's officially released and attached to the amigurumi subscription box, any person who gets this bear subscription from Hooks and Needles is going to get a tutorial of me for how to make it, which feels surreal. Like, I did that. I made a tutorial for him. I'm so stinking proud of it. So I don't know, if you want to hear my voice for 50 minutes on how to make a bear, you can totally order your own subscription box. And I have a link and a coupon code below if you want. The only thing I'm not sure of is it's supposed to be a surprise what subscription you're getting, like what box per month. So I don't know if you can specifically request this box or not. You might have to email them and ask. But yeah, that's the secret I've been keeping for several months now. I actually sent them the finished tutorial before Hurricane Milton hit Florida, after Helene and before Milton. So I was working on it in September, October, and then it went through an approval process, and then I made a couple of edits, not to the actual video itself, but we tweaked some captions and things like that, and I'm so excited about it. It feels cool. When they emailed me the first time, I was like, really? That's exciting. And then I did it, and it was really fun to work on, and I just love him. And now Nova has been asking for him for months. She once wanted to play with him, and I've been like, no, he's for work. So now I can give her Barry the Bear Cub, and she will be very ecstatic. So yes, that's the secret I've been keeping, is I made a tutorial for the Hooks and Needles subscription box, and I am very excited about that. Moving right along, we have plenty of yarn to talk about. The next project I've been working on is also a Hooks and Needles project. You did not see this last time because I don't think I had started it. Did I start it? Or was it just like barely started? Who knows? Am I gonna go look at my previous podcast and determine whether I started it or not? No, no. So the pattern that I am making is from the last box that I got from them, and it's an urban drawstring bag, and I wanted to make it because of this amazing like stair step texture, and I wanted to learn how to do that. I've never done a texture like that before, and so I have made quite a bit of progress on this. Let me not throw my crochet hook across the room. The yarn that I am using is the Hooks and Needles yarn. It is Merino Wildflower, so it's 70% wool, 30% nylon. It's this beautiful colorway, and there were 150 grams of this. So this is one 50-gram ball. I probably have 20 grams of it left, I'm gonna guess. And this is how far I have gotten. Oh no, it's unraveling. Why didn't I not put a stitch marker in here? To keep it, there, that's better. So yes, here we go. This is the bottom. This is all treble crochets or front post treble crochets in varying configurations. And then you turn and you start working up the side like this. I love the texture. I can't say enough good things about the texture. It's not the fastest stitch to work up because you're doing front post and back post double crochets a lot. Like that's the entire row. But I love the texture. I already have so many things in my mind of like, oh, this would look amazing on a hat. This would look amazing, etc., etc. So I'm really enjoying it. I have quite a ways to go because so far my bag is 2 inches high. But I have been able to pull this out when my kids are around because it's so small. It's small enough that I can just like, boop, done. And I always know where I am in the pattern because it's a repeat that you will memorize very quickly. So that's what I've been working on. And I have really been enjoying it. I just love this yarn. I think it's so pretty. I will say I ran into one issue in the pattern because when you're working on the bottom, you do an increase round and then you do a straight round, just a round, no increases. And the last 2 rounds of the bottom, one of them said to increase and then the next round also said to increase. And I was just staring at it. It was late. By late, it was 8:30 p.m. That's late for me. That's when my brain shuts off. I was like, I cannot figure this out. I'm supposed to have, it didn't have a stitch count at the end of that last round. And I was like, what is happening? Like, I do not understand these instructions. So instead of going with it and following the pattern, I was like, let me just sleep on it. I'll think about it. The answer will come to me. And this is a life tip for all of you, okay? Don't frog things at night. Sleep on it and let your brain work, okay? It's the same as like, if you're worried about something, if you're anxious about something, if you're angry about something, sleep on it, okay? No one has ever in their life been like, you know what you should do? Stay awake on it. No, you sleep on it for a reason so your brain can have a chance to process and calm down and like consider all the possibilities. I actually left this alone for like 3 days because I just didn't have a chance to touch yarn for the next couple of days. And then randomly it came to me and I was like, oh, I know how to figure out if I should be increasing or not because the round after this has a stitch count and the round before it has a stitch count. And I was like, wait, how many stitches do I have at this round? I increased, I counted them. It's the same amount that I need in the following round, which means I'm not increasing. So I'm just going to repeat one of the non-increase rounds from before. So basically there's a typo in the pattern, which happens. There's errata for patterns all the time. I'm only mentioning it because if I had just continued at that point at 8:30 p.m. and just continued going around, it would have messed up the entire thing. But I felt like something was off. I couldn't verify whether it was off or not, so I put it down. I slept on it for a couple of days, and then the answer came to me. And that will go for you too. It will work for you too if you do that. So I'm having a lot of fun with this bag. And there is something else in here. There's a bucket hat pattern that I'm probably not going to make because I'm not a bucket hat girly, although I know many of you are bucket hat people. But I also really like this shawl. It looks super simple to work up, and I'm pretty sure I have some yarn in my stash I could do. It's It uses single crochets, double crochets, front and back post, double crochets, and then some puff stitches. So I may make that one after this little bag is finished. It is living in a bag that was made for me by Kalisha, who is my dear friend of the Quirky Monday Craftcast, and she gave me this bag, and Lori of the Lori Lulu Crochet Podcast, when all three of us were together 2 years ago. It feels like simultaneously 5 minutes that we were together ago, as well as 17 years. And I mistakenly said in one of my vlogs that Lori made this, which was not correct. My brain is made of mashed potatoes. Kalisha made this. These are Lori's favorite princesses. This is actually my favorite princess. Rapunzel, top notch. I love her so much. What is Nova's favorite princess? All of them. She was Rapunzel for Halloween, but she loves literally every princess. She's obsessed. So yeah, if you would like a Hooks and Needles subscription box, they're, I think, very reasonably priced for what you get, and it's just fun to do little projects. It's given me back a lot of joy in my crafting. You can use my link and discount code below for 20% off. Let's move on again. What should we talk about next? Let's talk about cardigans. Well, a cardigan and a sweater. I have one knitting sweater and one crochet cardigan to show you. I'm going to show you the crochet cardigan first because last time I showed this, I was like, something is wrong and I don't know what. And I have figured it out. I was doing it wrong. I slept on this for quite a while. I just didn't have the energy. But once I got going on this, it has really worked out quickly. The pattern that I am talking about is the Artist Cardigan. It is a free pattern online. I can get the picture for you. It's black and white. It's not really very easy to see, but basically it looks like knitting, but it's not. It is made of crochet, and it is a very cool pattern. I'm very, very impressed with it, especially because it's a free pattern on how well written this pattern is. It's fabulous. The yarn that I am using is Audine Wools by Knit Crate. Knit Crate is unfortunately no longer in business. This is their Twinkle DK yarn in the colorway Knit Yorker, which is this beautiful lavender. And you can kind of see that it's a little bit sparkly. This is a DK weight yarn, 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% stellina. 250 yards, 100 grams. Now, the last time I showed this to you, I showed you this, which is my swatch. And then I showed you this, which was the beginnings of the cardigan. And I have not frogged it yet because I wanted to show you what I was talking about. So this, a lot of people were saying to me that this looks right. It looks right. I don't know what you're talking about, that you're doing it wrong. Yes, but it was in fact wrong. So it's kind of right. There's a couple of rows, like right here, that's a right row. But this is what the backside looks like, and that is wrong. It is supposed to be the same on both sides. It's supposed to look knitted. I finally realized when I started the entire thing over that I somehow had been inserting my hook into the wrong place. And so it was making all of these columns show up on this side, but I was only doing it on the back. I don't know how I did that. I don't know why I did that. I don't know what my brain was thinking, but this will be frogged. I just didn't want to frog it until I showed it to you. This is what it's supposed to look like, okay? Do you see the difference in this amazing squishy texture on both sides? As opposed to this, which is solid. It should not look solid like that. It should be spaced out like this. So this is going to be frogged. I just wanted to show you the difference. Some of you had commented and been like, well, that's what it's supposed to look like because it's half double crochets in the back loop. Yes, if it were half double crochets in the back loop, that's what it possibly would look like. But this entire cardigan is actually made of slip stitches. So this at the bottom is made with regular slip stitches. This panel is made with yarn over slip stitches. I have discovered that I do in fact still hate slip stitches. My least favorite part of this is the 10 stitches at the bottom that are just straight slip stitches. I do not like working them. I am upset every time I have to work them at the end of the row, but it's only 10 stitches, so I'm persevering. Yarn over slip stitches do not bother me. I find them much easier to work. And so what I have done is completed, is this the left shoulder? I think this might be the left shoulder. Let's see here. It doesn't even say. It probably doesn't even matter. I'm going to say, assume, let's say it's the left shoulder. So I have completed all of the short rows. I have completed the entire left front and the underarm, and I have just started the back. So you work this entire thing from side to side. So I'm just going to be working straight across the back now. And then when I get all the way across the back, I'm going to be working another armhole, another front panel with where the short rows will be different going up the other side. Then after that is done, you join the shoulders using this really cool technique up top, and then you work the sleeves concurrently to that. So I love it. Like, I was a little concerned about gauge, and so I've been like obsessively holding it up to myself. But honestly, I think all of my math is spot on. Like this, especially when it's blocked and stretched out, is going to look perfect. It's going to fit me perfectly. It's going to go around my bust perfectly and be a little looser around my stomach, which is what I want. And yeah, I just love it. It's not exactly showing up as the right color on screen because it's so bright in here, I think. But yeah, another example of if you can't figure something out, sleep on it. Because I did for quite a while, and it finally worked out when I restarted it. I'm still on my first ball. I have this much left, which is probably 1 or 2 more rows. And then that should, I have 6 of these total. I believe that means I will have enough yarn. So I did the entire front panel, and I started the back with 1 ball of yarn. So if I can get the rest of the back out of 2 balls of yarn, 1 ball for this front, that'll leave me 1 ball for each sleeve. It should be just fine. I am actually adding length to this. So this is about, it's 10 stitches longer than called for in the pattern because I have a long torso and I want to make clothes that will fit me and I like to wear. I don't want this hitting me on my belly button. I don't want this to be cropped. I want it to hit me right on my hip bone. So I have added 10 stitches in length, which means if the row says work 90 stitches, I'm working 100. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm very much enjoying it. I do have to be careful with my elbow how much I work on that. Just the yarn over slip stitch movement is a little bit hard on my arm. I will give you an elbow update in a little bit. I don't want to think about it right now. Well, we're talking about happiness and yarn, but my elbow is part of the reason this morning has been such a cluster. So that is my artist cardigan update. And I have a V-neck boxy update for you too. The update is everything is going smoothly. Now that I'm finally alternating skeins, I'm not going to try to put this on because it hasn't made so much progress since the last time you saw it. It's gonna be like this. This is the front. This stitch marker is where I was last time. So I've gotten about an inch and a half of what I have done. And as you can see, it is not color pooling, which is why I had to frog 2.5 inches of this. Oh, I just love it. This is the V-neck boxy, which is a pattern by Joji Locatelli. It is made in fingering weight yarn. This yarn is from Fiber Optics. And this is yarn that I bought at Rhinebeck in 2021, I think. No, 2022. So 2 years ago. Fiber optic yarn. It is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon in the colorway Peacock. And this yarn was purchased specifically to make this pattern. And I could not be happier with this. I'm going to feel like amazing when I finally get to wear this. I had grand illusions. Do y'all remember a couple episodes ago when I was like, I can totally get this finished by Christmas? No, I can't. There's literally no way. I have to knit 16 3/4 inches from the underarm. I'm at like 3 inches. So let's just say I have to knit 14 more inches of this, plus the bottom hem, plus the sleeves, plus the neckband. It's possible I could get that done before Christmas if this was the only thing I was working on, but it's not. And it's not going to be because I need to switch up my projects, not just for my own sake, but for the sake of my arm. But it is gorgeous. Hopefully I can get it finished, before winter is over. I say winter, it's 84 degrees outside right now. 84, y'all. It's supposed to get cold at the end of this week. And by cold, I mean in the 60s, not in the 80s. I live in Florida, in case you didn't know, and it's very hot here. Hence why I make a lot of things in fingering weight yarn. But wait, there's more. I have some progress to show you on my Westmont shawl. This is a Tunisian crochet project. I officially have 11 more rows of this entire shawl to do, which is probably about 6 hours of work because last time I measured, each row was taking me a half an hour, and there's significantly more stitches on the needles right now. The Westmont shawl is a pattern by TL Yarn Crafts, who is Tony Lipsy, and it's living in this pink bag that I also got at Rhinebeck 2 years ago. But I have made some progress, okay? I've been trying really hard on this. I'm just getting to the point where I want to get it done. So I have done almost an entire section since the last time we saw each other. This is the stitch marker where I was. It is a sassy llama. I love that stitch marker so much. So I've done probably 10 rows, maybe 9 rows, which is 5 hours, 5 or more hours of work on this. And I just last night put the first row of the last purple section on. So I'm gonna stand up so you can see this. Let's see if I can do it without yanking everything off the table. It is gorgeous. I'm so happy with this. And I am so happy, as we talked about last time, that I switched out the 4th color because this is doing exactly what I wanted it to do, which is brightening up the entire shawl again. This colorway kind of brought it to a darker place that I wanted it. It's beautiful and it looks perfect given that I've added this one down here. But with the 4th color I had originally picked, it just wasn't working. And so, yeah, I have one more purple stripe to add at the very bottom, and then weave in all the ends, of course, of which there are a lot, and then block it. And it's going to be, right now, it is my wingspan. So it'll be slightly larger than my wingspan when it's done. And it's going to be extra big once it's blocked and stretched out. So, la, 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 la. I'm so happy with it. I'm going to wear this so much. Anytime I can get away with it, I will be wearing it. And when it's blocked, as you can see, it's got this mesh, and it's really going to stretch once it's blocked. It's going to be like that big instead of this big. You can tell that this is a fluffier yarn because this is a sport weight yarn and the rest of it's fingering. But I think once it's blocked, you will not be able to tell as much. I'm pretty sure. And anyways, let's just go ahead and do this. Will you be able to tell when it's around your neck? Nope. No, you won't. So yeah, I would wear it totally like this because this is how I like to wear. My triangle shawl's all cozy in the front and I'm all tangled, but I am so happy with this. I would love to say that the next time you see me, this will be done. I mean, there's only 11 rows left. And if I did 1 row every single night, it would be done. Will I do 1 row every single night? That seems unlikely. So this, I don't know, but I really want to finish this because I want to pick out yarn and start the landscapes shawl. My friend Emmy is a Tunisian queen. She just Tunisian crochets everything. It's an amazing pattern, and it uses all these different colors of yarn, and it just looks like it like bends your mind. It's like an optical illusion. And I want to start that, but I am not going to start it until I'm done with this current Tunisian shawl. And of course I still have to pick out yarn, which is probably going to take me forever because it uses like 12 colors or something. My goal is to use fingering weight yarn. It is a DK pattern. I know I don't have enough different colorways of DK yarn that go together because I mostly use fingering, but I can hold fingering weight double and it will be totally fine. So yeah. My plan is to start that soon, but not until the Westmont shawl is done. I don't love having 2 giant Tunisian shawls on at the same time because I know I'm just going to get distracted and finish neither of them. The next project is my project for the Fancy Yarn Mal, which is currently running until the end of November. I've decided I'm not going to extend it. We're just going to finish, draw prizes at the beginning of December, and then hopefully you'll get some happy mail before Christmas. We'll do some other kind of make-along starting in January. I know for sure my project is not going to be done or even close to being done, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with this being a long-term project. because it is really special. The project is the Cirrus Shawl, which is a pattern by Rosina of Zines and Roger. And it's this very beautiful, airy, light shawl. She has used a DK blue clay yarn and then a lace weight yarn. I'm using a fingering weight regular yarn and a lace yarn, but it's working out perfectly. And as you can see, it's still just a baby. I have put some work into it, but like all of this lace was not here before. That's one, I think that's 4 rows of lace. But it doesn't look very big, does it? It's so small. Right now it's a little bib, but I love it. The thing I want to say about this is sometimes projects are worth it even if they take a really long time. And even if you find them not intuitive. And by not intuitive, I mean, I can't do this and not look. I can't do this in my sleep, right? This is not a quick stitch. So the boucle stitch, you alternate working in the front and back loop every single stitch. That's a lot, especially when you're working with lace yarn. And once I really got into it, I actually swatched using a couple of different stitches because I was like, ooh, that stitch is going to be quite involved for a long time. So I swatched using a couple of their stitches, but this is just so pretty that it has to be that. Like it cannot be anything else. So I've decided it's worth it. It's worth it to continue, even though it's quite a time commitment. This is going to be such an amazing piece when it is done that like I'm willing to put in the work for it. I will say that I am on section, I have 5 more sections like this to complete. And of course, every section you're increasing by quite a lot of stitches. So 5 more sections that look like this before the shawl is done, plus an edging. I have always said, and I will say this until my dying breath, if you are on a budget, but you still want to work with fancier yarn, lace weight yarn. And I know someone is going to comment and be like, but lace takes so long. Yes, I know. That's why you get the most bang for your buck. If you were to spend $20 or $30 on a skein of fancy lace weight yarn, the amount of hours you will spend crocheting and or knitting it will be much, much higher than a skein of worsted or a skein of DK. And I think the result is just something that will be like an heirloom piece. I love the purple. This yarn was a gift from my lovely friend Emmy, the lace yarn, and it is a mental health colorway and it's special to me for so many reasons. And there's such positivity in my mind when I think about this project and when I work on this project, even if it's for a few minutes. I have actually been picking it up and doing like a third of a row and putting it down. So I think this project will be with me for a long time, but that's okay because it's fancy yarn. And the fancy yarn fancy yarn make along is for you to use yarn that is special to you. I have another project that has not been started using wool-like yarn because they don't sell that anymore. So that's a fancy yarn to me. I still have not blocked my swatch, and that is what is holding me up. Last night was like, I'm gonna do it, and then I didn't do it. I worked on my artist cardigan instead. So yes, that's the fancy yarn make along. You can enter your pictures. It doesn't have to be finished. Mine's not finished. You can enter that in the Ravelry group that's linked below. And I will draw some prizes at the beginning of December. There will be 2 prizes for the Ravelry/Instagram, and there will be 2 prizes for my patrons as well, which will be pulled separately from the Slack channel. Okay, I'm not done yet. Is this enough yarn? This is a lot of yarn. I have some sock progress. Normally you see socks at the beginning of the episode, but we're switching it up, y'all, okay? I finished a sock, not a pair of socks, but I have finished an entire sock since the last time we talked, since the last time you came over to visit. I have been a very, very busy bee, and I have finished 1 Christmas sock. This is Hobie yarn. It is the Christmas sock wool. It is colorway number 6. I know that has a name. I'm sure you can find it on their website. Did I find it on their website? No, it's number 6. It's 75% wool, 25% nylon. And this is where I was last time. So I finished the toe, did my Kitchener stitch, and I have woven in the ends on this, okay? So we have one completed sock, and I have started a second one. The reason this has been completed and this one has been started is because I had a wedding, a meeting that I could knit through, and we went to a birthday party in Bradenton, which is about 45 minutes away from where I live. And I did not drive. So I got to knit most of the way there and most of the way home. So I finished this on the way there, and I cast on the second sock immediately on the way back. I'm about halfway through the cuff. My sock recipe at the moment is I cast on 64 stitches on 2.25 millimeter needles. I do 15 rounds of ribbing, 20 rounds of plain stockinette, fishlets kiss heel, straight stockinette for the foot, and a rounded toe. That may not be your vanilla sock recipe, but that is the recipe that's fitting my feet currently. And you know, if you've been around, that I have been on this journey of like, I need some socks, because all of the socks, most of the socks I should say, that I knit prior to having children do not fit my feet anymore. Thanks, pregnancy. So that one's done, and I've started a second pair. This is the one that lives in my mom bag and just travels around with me. This pair has been sitting on my couch, and so it's gotten quite a bit of love as well. It is Wisdom Yarns, which is a universal yarn. This is a discontinued yarn that I found at a yarn reseller in Washington and had them ship it to me. It's the colorway Spring Blossoms, and it's Saki Silk. So it is 55% merino, 25% nylon, 20% silk. The reason I went hunting for this yarn is because my favorite pair of socks I've ever made was in this yarn, but a different colorway. It was like Big Volcano or something like that. And I wear them every single week. And oh no, my yarn is falling apart. Uh-oh. Let's see, how do I put this back together? This is the colorway. The ball is a little worse for the wear because, like I said, I got it from a yarn thrift reseller place, and it was worth it to me. And here we go. I have actually knit one entire cuff, the heel, and I am part of the way down the foot already. Let's do it this way so the little stoppers aren't in the way. I love it. I really love it. And I'm currently really into not doing contrast cuffs, heels, and toes. It's just so nice at the end of a pair of socks to only have two ends to weave in. And it is so plump and soft and silky and squishy, and I love it. I love it. I love it just as much as the last pair of socks I made. So it's gorgeous. I'm very happy with it. So that's just getting a little bit of my attention whenever I don't have any brain power to work on anything else. And that is all the projects I have been working on. Do you know how many projects that was? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that was 8 projects. I did not put my yarn label back. Shame. Shame on me. And look at that. A little nug of yarn escaped because I wanted those Christmas socks to match each other exactly. I had to wind off some yarn off of the ball. And so I have this nug that I will use for something eventually. All right, now it's going back in there. What else can we talk about? Shall we talk about my ridiculous morning? So, as you know, I've been having issues with my elbow. The very condensed short version of this story is, once upon a time in a land far, far away, I was in college and I gave myself tennis elbow by doing this repeatedly with a very heavy backpack because I am a nerd. It bothered me for many, many years. I ended up with radial tunnel syndrome, which is carpal tunnel, except it's in your elbow, essentially. And it was severely impeding my life. I saw a chiropractic doctor who basically scraped out with this metal credit card looking thing. It was extremely painful, but he scraped out some of the scar tissue that was in there. So I had more mobility in this muscle, and it helped a lot for many years. I still had to be careful how much typing I did. I have to be careful how I position myself when I'm crocheting. I do very few amigurumis for that reason specifically. It hurts my arm. Fast forward to 6 months ago, when I hit my elbow on the dryer in our garage so hard that I thought I broke my elbow. Like, I hit it, I sat on the floor and cried for like 10 minutes. The pain in it was like shooting. And then after about an hour, I put ice on it, I took ibuprofen, and I was like, okay, let's see if it's broken. Let's see if I have range of motion. So I started doing this and like moving, and I had full range of motion, even though it was painful. So I was like, okay, I didn't break it. But then it never really got better. So I eventually went to the doctor 2 months later, and I was like, maybe I had a hairline fracture. I don't know. Something is wrong, and my elbow hurts all the time in my arm. I don't have any grip strength. I keep dropping things. I can make a fist, but like squeezing it like just now, that hurts my arm. So I went to the doctor, I got an x-ray, and he was like, oh, you have tennis elbow. Great. So he gave me a cortisone shot in my elbow. The cortisone is a steroid, if you don't know. I've never had a cortisone shot before, and I will do anything in my power to not get one ever again, because not only do I feel like it did not help, it made my whole body itchy from the inside out for 3 days. And their only response was, take a Benadryl, which I could not do because Benadryl knocks you out, and I have small children. So he gave me the exercises to do for tennis elbow. I have been doing them, but I have not been able to progress. You're supposed to start with a 1 pound weight and work your way up to a 3 pound weight. I have not been able to get past the 1 pound weight without significantly increasing the pain in my arm. So I had my follow-up appointment. It was supposed to be in the beginning of October. It got rescheduled for 5 weeks later because of the 2 hurricanes that hit our location. So it's been a long time now. I saw him again, and he was like, all right, you need physical therapy. Maybe they can do something. Essentially, that's what he said. And I was like, thank goodness, because that's the answer I wanted. I need some help with this arm. It's really impeding my life. So I had my first occupational therapy appointment for my arm this morning at 9 a.m. Noah went with me because he goes with me everywhere because I don't have any childcare for him. And he was just a disaster the entire appointment. And it was honestly my nightmare situation for an appointment, because I don't know if you've ever had physical therapy, but unless you're doing something really private like pelvic floor physical therapy, you're in one giant room and there's machines everywhere and there's walking things and stretching things and bands and all kinds of things you're supposed to be doing. And everybody has their own little spot that they're working in. So there essentially was nowhere that I could trap Noah. Like, there was no room that we were in with a door that could close. And there's 20 other people in this room, doctors, patients, staff. So I followed him around until it was my turn for the appointment. And then he had to sit on my lap for 45 minutes while I was being assessed. And I couldn't put him down because there's no one to watch him. And he did not want to sit on my lap. He was very mad. He cried almost the entire appointment. And at the very end, he was like hysterically screaming. But I couldn't put him down because the second I put him down, he's running and climbing, which is fine if I can follow him, but I couldn't. So it was so stressful, actually, that when we got in the car, I cried on the way home because I was just like so overwhelmed. And it's not his fault. Like, he's 14 months old. He is made to go, and he needs to go. He needs to climb and run and explore. And he doesn't understand why he can't and why I wouldn't put him down. But oh my Lord, like, he won't even, I don't pull out my phone. I don't do screen time for the kids when we're out places unless it is a true emergency. But even if I did, he wouldn't watch it. I tried. I was like, maybe you can watch like trucks or something on YouTube. He won't watch TV. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. If the TV's on in our house, he's like, whatever. I have to be about my business. So there's literally no fail safe. With Nova, if it was a true emergency, if I had an appointment like that, I would have put on like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or something so that I could talk to the doctor. But there's nothing for him. There's no fail safe because he doesn't care. He just wants to move. He wants to move his body. So that was quite stressful. She basically said that I have radial tunnel syndrome, which I already knew that, but I have, it's kind of worse than I thought. Like, she's doing all these kinds of assessments, like squeezing, something that measures the force when you squeeze in one hand versus the other. My right hand is so weak. Like, I could barely squeeze the thing. And my left hand was like, boo, like I was like, I felt like the Hulk squeezing it. And this one was like, wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. I couldn't do it. There was a little thing where there was taking these little pegs and putting them in a hole, and I can't pick them up with these two fingers. Like my pincer grip, I can't do it. I was doing it with my middle finger and my ring finger because every time I tried to pick it up like this, I dropped it. She did a little bit of ultrasound on my elbow. So thank you so much. A couple of you had commented a while ago saying ultrasound had helped them. And I brought that up to her and she said, sure, we can add that. So that's cool. So hopefully that will help. Basically, I have to do a lot of stretching and we're not doing any exercises right now. We're trying to get this nerve to calm down. So part of the problem is the muscle and most of the problem is the nerve that runs right here. And that's where I get this constant like aching pain. And anytime I use my arm a lot, like carrying things, pulling things, it hurts right here. It's like a really bad headache, but in my arm for 2 to 3 days afterwards. And then these fingers are numb a lot of the time, or they're tingling, specifically my pinky, but this one too. So I will, as of tomorrow when it arrives, be wearing a wrist brace for the next 6 weeks. Ugh, gross. I don't even know. How am I going to crochet with that? I hope it doesn't affect my crochet too much. I have to wear that because she wants to immobilize this wrist part, and it can't be a short one. The brace is going to come to like here so that this nerve can get a break specifically, and we can maybe decrease some of the inflammation before we start doing any exercises. And I have a lot of stretching to do. So I have to do this thing called flossing the nerve. And then I'm supposed to essentially not use my arm, which, how am I supposed to not use my arm? I have a child. I have 2 children. I have to cook and clean and work. And I'm like, what do you mean I can't use my arm? Like, I am right-handed. This arm is my life. I don't know what to do about it. So anyways, it's been a heck of a morning. I was very stressed out and I was also very hungry because Noah ate all of the food that I had packed while I was trying to occupy him for 45 minutes while he cried sitting on my lap. It was stressful. And then I cried on the way home because I was so stressed from the whole situation. And it's not just my nightmare that like there's a room where I can't watch him. So if it had been a regular doctor office room, I could have set him on the floor. He could have walked around and the door would have been closed. Like he couldn't escape, but I couldn't put him down because it was open for everyone. And so not only could I not put him down because it was open for everyone in that whole place heard him crying for 40 minutes. And I understand that like people are sympathetic to babies and it's like I'm the most stressed out about it, but listening to any baby cry for that long is annoying. Like it's hard, especially when you're trying to be in your place of business and you're like, it was just a lot. And I have to go back next Thursday. Hopefully that'll be like a 20-minute appointment, not a 45-minute appointment. I don't know. That was a lot. And I got to come home and order myself a wrist brace on Amazon. She said I could go to Walmart if I wanted to, but by the time I get to Walmart, it's going to be tomorrow anyways, and they may not have what I need. She gave me a very specific kind that has basically no padding, no extra padding in here. I don't know. She explained it to me, but only 40% of my brain was like following what she was saying because the baby was screaming in my lap. So speaking of the baby, he's asleep. He is sleeping the sweet, peaceful dreams of a baby who got home and got to roam around outside and has no cares in the world and has already forgotten of his 45-minute trauma. I, on the other hand, will not forget anytime soon. So that's the morning I have had. I do have some other information updates to tell you, and that is some changes. So I hardly ever mention this on the podcast, but I have a Patreon for this podcast, and I have been implementing some changes recently to that. Some people have told me that they don't want to deal with a separate app. They don't want to subscribe to Patreon because it's annoying. They do everything on YouTube. They prefer it to be on YouTube. So what I am going to do is open up YouTube memberships. Now, I have information for you. Okay, this is important for you to know why I'm doing this. I am not trying to make a lot of money. I am not trying to offer some secret access. Like, that's not my goal at all. In fact, Patreon is the better deal. It's less expensive and you get more. But there's a couple of reasons why I am making changes to Patreon and opening YouTube memberships. One is I want to make more video content. Video is where my heart is right now. It's bringing me joy. I have had so much fun vlogging the last 12 days in November. I just was so excited about it. And that's what I want in my life is I need more creativity and excitement and passion in what I'm doing. And that's where I'm finding it right now. And so I want to do more of that. Number two, the reason is inclusivity. So for a long time, there have been different tiers in Patreon of like, you get different things. And some of the vlogs were only for the higher tiers. And it just wasn't sitting right with me because if you've ever bought one of my patterns, you know that the more expensive patterns that I have a pay what works model on them. And there's coupon codes and I want them to be accessible for anyone, no matter the budget. And so that just wasn't sitting right with me. So I've restructured and I've added an inclusivity tier to Patreon for anyone who maybe doesn't have a large amount of expendable income. I certainly follow in that category. And it's only $3. And basically on Patreon, what you get is what I'm planning to give is a vlog every single week, 3 to 4 vlogs a month, plus access to the Slack channel where we run the make-alongs. So for the fancy yarn mal, there's a Ravelry group that anyone can join. For my patrons, there's a Slack thread in this app called Slack, and that's where I draw the patron-only prizes from, as well as the Zoom online get-togethers that we have approximately monthly. Those are available to everyone. And then for the YouTube membership, it doesn't include any of that. It just includes the vlogs and early access to my podcasts. But I understand that some people don't want to deal with the whole extra app. The reason that I'm doing this, the main reason, is because of my kids. And I know people have all kinds of feelings about this, so I'm like really nervous about even saying this out loud. But I'm going to do it. Y'all wish me luck. You may have noticed, or maybe you haven't, I don't know, that my kids' interaction with the podcast has reduced significantly, specifically Nova's interaction. She's in school now, so it would be hard to film a podcast because she's physically not here. She's at school. But she was part of the vlogs, and obviously so was Noah. But I don't know if anyone picked up on the fact that she didn't have a huge role. Like, she wasn't the star of the show. She wasn't speaking a lot in the vlogs. And the reason for that is not because of you guys. It's because of my job. So Noah is with me all the time. He's literally never not with me unless he's with like my mom. So I know where he is all the time. Nova is no longer with me all the time. She's in school for 6 hours a day. And this community, this yarn community that we have created, I have been so careful to make sure that it is a safe place where anyone can come and share the joy of crafting. And that is always my goal. It is very, very rare that I have to delete a comment or manage any nastiness, but I will do it. Like, the second I see someone being mean, it's deleted. Like, I will not put up with that. So this is a wonderful space that brings me contentment and fulfillment and happiness, and I hope brings contentment and fulfillment and happiness to you too. And so I have no worries about you guys. The worries that I have stem from what I do for a job. If you don't know, I'm a pastor, and I'm a pastor of a little inclusive church in St. Petersburg, Florida, called Different Church. And our focus is everyone, but specifically people who have been excluded from God. And I'm not trying to push God on anyone. Okay, everyone can believe whatever they want, but that is what I do for work. It is something else that fulfills me deeply in my soul. However, people on the internet be crazy, and there are people on Instagram and on TikTok specifically and on Facebook who comment the most awful stuff on the church's posts. And I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me one way or the other. Like, if you want to be nasty, that says more about you than it does about me. I do not take criticism from people I don't take advice from. Like, you popping off on the internet is no skin off my back. Like, I do not care. Knock yourself out. However, where the issue comes up for me is the safety of my kids. And no one has ever made what I would consider to be a credible threat. However, we all know that people are insane. Like, some people on the internet are just out of control, and I cannot run the risk of someone like that finding this space and then finding my daughter, right? And then knowing some personal detail about her life that she shared on the podcast, and like running into her, finding her, saying something like that. So I know that lots of people are more private than I am and like don't even show their kids' faces. I'm not going to do that. Like, my kids are still going to be part of Vlogmas. But for the personal details of my child's life, like, I'm never going to say where she goes to school. Like, there's certain things I'm just never going to put out there. But there is, I have been for at least 6 months now, been very careful about what I share and what I let her share, because I don't want that to ever come up in a situation and make her feel unsafe, or her, I don't want someone to know some kind of detail. And so that is the main reason that I am opening YouTube memberships and that I've restructured my Patreon, is because I want to share the life of my kids with you. And like I said, there's certain things I can never share. Like, I'm never going to share where she goes to school, because that's just not a smart thing to do. But I want her to be able to talk to y'all, because she knows some of you and she loves you, and you're my knitting friends and her yarn aunties, sometimes she calls you. I want to be able to share Noah with you like that as he gets older and he starts talking. But I need there to be some kind of barrier between them and me and the rest of the internet. So my plan going forward is I'm still going to do Vlogmas. It will be very similar to the last 12 days of vlogs that I put up. Little tidbits of life. It'll be pictures of them playing in our backyard. There might be some fun little anecdote of her eating a cookie or eating a donut, or, doing fun things. But as far as her hopes and dreams and what she personally loves, that's probably not going to be part of that. But it will be in my Patreon and in the YouTube memberships. So this is in no way am I attempting to pressure you. I'm not trying to make a lot of money. What I'm trying to do is put a barrier between the crazy and my kids. And I've tried to make that barrier as inclusive of everyone as I possibly can. But if you miss my babies, because I know they have grown up on this channel and you have watched them grow up on this channel, and if you want to have that interaction with them, Patreon and YouTube memberships is where it's going to be. There will be no difference between the vlogs that are posted to Patreon and the vlogs that are posted to YouTube membership. Is the exact same video. I just want there to be two options. But if you want to see my kids grow up and have more access to that part of their life, that's where it's going to be for now. Maybe forever, maybe not forever. I can't see the internet getting any less ridiculous, but we can hope, we can dream. I would love some feedback from y'all. Okay, I'm so nervous, like, even talking about this, but because everyone has their own opinion of, like, you shouldn't even share your kid's name. You shouldn't even share their face, or you should tell me every detail that ever lived. Like, I just kind of have to find what works for us. And truly the only reason I'm doing this is because of my job. And it just puts me and them at a much higher risk of a crazy person being around on the internet than if I were just doing this and working some office job. So, and I understand that, and it's my duty as a parent, I think, to kind of mitigate that for especially my daughter, because she's a sensitive, amazing soul, and I love her so much. She's such a bright light in the world, and sometimes her light burns so bright that she implodes. But most of the time, she's just miraculous, and I know y'all think so too. So if you miss her, that's where she'll be, is my Patreon. And The vlogs that I've been doing for the last 12 days, those are exactly the type of vlog that I do on Patreon and will be doing for YouTube memberships. It's just tidbits of our life. I'm typically way more chatty, I will say. Usually when I post a vlog on Patreon, it's 10 to 20 minutes, not 5 to 10 minutes, because I will just, y'all know I can talk. I've been talking for like an hour already. So now I have to like get over myself because I got all nervous saying all of that to the internet. So I don't know. I don't know what to say, but no pressure. That's just how I have to kind of structure it for the moment. But if you want to hang out with my babies and also hang out with me more and just like see our actual life, there will be crafting content, but that's where it will mostly be. We get 3 to 4 vlogs per month going forward, with the exception of December, where there will of course be a vlog every day. Okay. The last thing we are going to talk about is a little bit of incoming happy mail. The first happy mail, because there's a fair amount, is I got contacted by Premier Yarns who commented on one of my videos. And I was like such a fangirl. I was like, excuse me, Premier Yarns, the company, is commenting on my video. What is happening right now? And they did. And that wasn't all. They then sent me an email and asked if I would consider being an affiliate. And first of all, the answer is yes, I freaking love Premier Yarns. And they also sent me some yarn to review. And I did not type this back in the email, but I was like, in my head, I was like, do you know who you're talking to? Like, this is not a big YouTube channel. I am not famous in any way, shape, or form. I am just a person with a phone and a love of yarn. And I have been on YouTube for like 7.5 years at this point. But like, this is not a mega crochet channel. So the fact that they somehow found me and liked what I was doing and then liked it enough to be like, hey, we would like you to be a voice for our brand really blew me away. Like, I could not believe it. And they sent me some yarn, some of which is going to go back out in the Fancy Yarn Mal prizes. This is L by me. It is a Premier yarn. The yarn for this, I think, is $6.99-ish a ball. And when I opened this says luxury is a matter of style rather than money. I opened this and Nova was like, that's Beetlejuice wrapping paper. And then she was like, Mom, don't say his name or his mask will come on and he will scare you. Like, okay, she's never seen Beetlejuice. Where did she get this information? So I just want to show you the yarns really fast. And these are totally random. Like, they just sent me basically a press package of this yarn, I guess. So I didn't have any control over what the colors were. This is one that will be part of the prize for a Fancy Yarn Mal. It's called Odette, and it is 23% polyester, 22% alpaca, 22% superwash merino, 18% metallized polyester, and 15% acrylic. Oh, it's so pretty. I just love it. This is the colorway Blush, and it's a 5 bulky weight, although to me that's pretty thin for a 5. I know they're saying it's a 5 because of how fluffy it is, but I think when it works up, it's going to be more like a 4 or a worsted weight yarn. And they have all kinds of colors for this, and it is lofty, and it is soft, and it is gorgeous. Oh, I just love it. Also is this yarn, which is Arely. I don't know how to say that word. This is the colorway Majesty, and it's basically an art yarn. It's 55% polyester, 36% acrylic, and 9% metallized polyester. And this is really cool. I have so many ideas of what I could make with this. I think these go together perfectly. And actually, what I think would be amazing is some kind of shawl or shawlette with this, and then like a border or some tassels or edging with this, because this is so soft. It's crazy how soft this is, because you would think that it's rough given all the little loops and things, but it's super soft. So this is going to be one of the prizes for the Fancy Yarn Mal. I just think these have to go together. The other 2 things in here are the Charlotte yarn. This is the colorway Cerise, and this is the colorway Persimmon. And these are 60% acrylic, 40% wool. I have an idea for a hat with this, and I may test it with this yarn first. So yeah, I think that these are $6.99. which for wool blends, I'm really impressed with the price, honestly, especially because lately it seems like a ball of Red Heart is like $5.50. And to get something this nice for $6.99 is like, then why would I get the other stuff? Unless, of course, you have a purpose for getting that. But I just think this is magical. So if you would like to check out any of that yarn, you can check it out using my link below. It is an affiliate link. What that means is that if you spend $15, I get from Premier, doesn't cost you anything, I get from Premier $1.50 of that in 60 to 90 days. So if you spend $30, I'll get $3 in February. So it's not a huge amount of money, but I am really liking that yarn. I'm really looking forward to making a hat. I already have what it looks like in my head, if I can just find the time and the arm strength to get to it. So thank you, Premier. I feel, I'm not gonna say unworthy, but I was surprised that they contacted me, and I'm over the moon about it. I really am. The next yarn I'm going to show you is actually a box from a lovely viewer of this podcast named Jill, and all of this yarn, almost, is going to some people who live around here who lost their yarn stash because of the flooding that came with Hurricane Helene. And Jill asked if she could send some yarn from her stash to share with these people, because as I've said before, I just can't imagine going through something so awful and not being able to knit and not being able to crochet because you've lost literally everything in your home. I don't really want to talk about it too much because I'm going to get all emotional, but she sent some beautiful project bags. And then this whole, so all of this is going to go, except for one thing. She sent this beautiful box of yarn. So there's wool, there's alpaca and wool, there's sport weight. This is hedgehog fiber mill over here. Shepherd's wool. Ooh, shepherd's wool. That is so soft. I've heard of this company before. Only good things. Shepherd's wool. It's so pretty. There's just all kinds of beautiful yarn in here. There is this, which is, this is 100% wool. A lot of little skeins of that. And there's some linen. It's all beautiful. And it's all kind of in the same color family. So hopefully they'll be able to make something really awesome. So thank you, Jill, for this beautiful big box of yarn that I will make sure goes to people who have no yarn because they lost it. And I want to show you, she sent me a skein of this Uru yarn from Knit Crate. I literally was using Knit Crate yarn to make the artist cardigan. I think this is Uru yarn Silk DK. It's 85% merino, 15% silk in the colorway Enlightened. And I think this is going to be the basis for my transition shawl. So I want it to be this color. So thank you, Jill. You did not have to send me anything, but I already have a plan for that yarn. And I have collected yarn out of my stash that will go with that yarn to the people who have lost their yarn stash. And probably either the week before Thanksgiving or the week after Thanksgiving, it's all going to be packaged up and go out. I just got to arrange a time to meet with these people. I know there's one person in my personal knitting group, which I haven't been to since Noah was born, but who lost literally her whole house, everything. And so I'm going to give her the bulk of that yarn. And there's a couple other people that I have heard of as well. So yes, thank you for that. It was really generous of you, and we're going to spread the warmth and get people knitting and crocheting again because we don't want to lose the love of our yarn. Yes? The last yarn I want to show you is I had an opportunity to go over to my friend Maria's house. Hi, Maria! If you watched my recent vlogs, there's one called Come Dye Yarn With Me. And my friend Maria used to own a yarn dyeing business, which she has closed, but she has dyed many, many, many wonderful things. She's just an amazing color artist, in my opinion. And the yarn that I made my hot pink mix and match cardigan out of was dyed by Maria. I have made a sock head hat. I have made socks. I designed 2 patterns in her yarn when she was dyeing yarn regularly. And there's a bulky weight hat and a lace weight silk cowl, the Vanya cowl, which is one of my favorite things to wear because it's so light. So she had some extra just bare yarn in her closet that she wanted to kind of move along. So we went over and dyed a bunch of yarn. It was so fun. It was so fun. It was just such a blast. And I showed in that video what the yarn looked like. And in the subsequent videos, what it looks like dried and skeined up. I haven't seen it in person yet, but I'm sure it will be amazing. While I was there, she's cleaning out in an organizing mood, I suppose, like I have been lately. And she's wanting to pass some yarn along. So she sent me home with a bunch of yarn. She basically did de-stash. And I'm going to show you what that yarn is. There is a lot of this, which is Petal silk yarn. It's 100% silk lace weight yarn, 300 yards for 50 grams. And this is the colorway Plummy. There's a lot of this plum color yarn. And I'm trying to decide what I'm going to make with this because it's just the most beautiful color. I'm really into these rich plum colors right now. And there is a pattern, it's been in my Ravelry wish list forever, that I want to make, but it calls for sport weight yarn. So I'm not sure if I can make that work. But I think I have enough yardage. So we'll see about that. There is also some in pink. This is the colorway Hibiscus Red. I am planning on making a tank top out of this. The tank top that I have not done my swatch yet for. I've swatched, but I have not blocked the swatch for in the wool-like yarn. I think that pattern will look really good with this type of yarn because this yarn is a lace weight, but you can see it's a little bit thick and thin. It's a single ply. And that pattern uses the lemon peel stitch? That's like a double crochet and a single crochet. It's doing that. And I think that will hide some of the thick and thinness, but I want to make one in wool-like first. But probably what I will do is make it in pink and then we'll see. There's some other yarn that just was hanging out in her stash. This is from Knit One Crochet 2. It is 62% silk, 30% cotton, 8% nylon. And this is a number 2 sport weight yarn. Super pretty. So it's a cotton silk yarn, which should be perfect for Florida, right? And I love this color. I love the color. I need to make some like t-shirt summery things because right now all I have are sweaters and cardigans, and I need to make some more things that are more wearable all year round. Some of that silk is going to go into my prize stash as well because I want to be able to share this with you guys. There was also a bag full of these bars of Barocco Mantra yarn. It is 100% silk. Look at that. I've never even, I don't know, it feels so cool. And by cool, I don't mean like cool. I mean like cold cool on your skin. It's crazy. It's beautiful. It is, I'm assuming, a fingering weight yarn. 182 yards for 50 grams. Yeah, that's about a fingering weight. And it's all black. So that would make a pretty good staple piece in a wardrobe. There's some more of that Knit One Crochet 2 yarn. And this is the colorway, does it say? 593. It doesn't have a name, at least on here. It doesn't have a name. But it's the silk, cotton, and nylon yarn as well. It's just amazing. Olive green is a color that I think looks fabulous on me. And it's a color that I don't reach for that often because I like bright colors. But when I wear it, it just looks really, really good. So I have one olive green dress. I don't think I've worn it since Baby Noah was born. But I need to make some olive green stuff. Like that olive green yarn would be perfect for like a crochet t-shirt. In fact, let me pull up Ravelry really fast because I have a pattern that I think it needs to be. Let's see here. Library. Oh, man. I'm not logged into Ravelry. I was just on Ravelry on my iPad like 2 days ago. What do you mean I'm not logged into Ravelry? Let's go to library because it should be in this. Ratha. Oh no, not that. I clicked on the wrong thing. This right here. It's called the Courtney Tea. That would be perfect in that olive green yarn. And this is made in a fingering weight, but I'm sure I could adjust the gauge to be fit perfectly well. And the last thing she sent me home with is my favorite base she ever dyed, which was bulky 100% superwash merino. This is the yarn that I dyed that hat with, the hat pattern that I made. And I actually, right before she closed her shop, I purchased a skein of this colorway. I believe this is the colorway Plum. Oh, and no, it's called Almost Black. And then this one's called Beat. You can see they're a little bit different. But I purchased, it's probably this. I purchased a skein of this from her right before she closed her shop because I was like, I'm never going to get it again. And it's hiding in my most special skein box because I was like, I'm never going to see this yarn again ever. And I've never felt a yarn base like it because it's so fluffy. I'm thinking that this is going to be possibly some kind of cardigan from Joji Locatelli. I really want to start it like immediately. I have like severe cast-on-itis right now. Severe. But nevertheless, I have persisted in not casting things on at the moment because I have 1,700 other projects that are supposed to be worked on. In fact, I need to do a video where we're like, should we finish this or should we frog this? Because I haven't touched it in a year and a half. Stay tuned for that coming sometime. So yeah, it was such a fun day. And after 2 months of hurricanes and 2 months of nonsense, it was just really, really soul filling to go over there and spend time with my friend and be creative in that way. So it was really exciting. Oh, I have been talking so much, my throat hurts. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sign off right now. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you're working on. I think the next podcast video is going to come out right after Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. So I will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you for being here. Truly, I appreciate you. If you are a longtime viewer or if this is the first time you've ever viewed a podcast, thank you for being here. I really, really am glad you came over for a chat. And you fill my heart with joy and you help me keep the magic in creating. And I will be forever grateful for that. So happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you all in 2 weeks. Bye, friends.